First, we have Curran Stockton, whose talk focuses on TED and the power of the spoken word.
Hi everyone, my name is Curran Stockton, and tonight I'd like to ponder with you all, why am I here? Of course the simple answer is to give this talk, but why has giving TED Talks such as these grown to become such a successful and increasingly popular global phenomenon? I could go on with all the aspects of how TED came to change my life, how it's been a passion of mine since 7th grade, and how I'm certainly not the only one greatly impacted by the TED organization, but instead I'll begin by stating the facts. TED, which stands for Technology, Entertainment, and Design, held its very first invitation-only conference in 1984. The nonprofit focuses on its devotion to its slogan, Ideas Worth Spreading. From the TED website I quote, "TED is a global community, welcoming people of every discipline and culture who seek a deeper understanding of the world. Those who dare to seek said understanding do so in the form of lengthy or memorized talks, which can be given as poetry, prose, or any method chosen by the speaker that best communicates their ideas to a global audience." Today, giving TED Talks is certainly impressive, but why? Nothing against TED, trust me, but why has something as simple as talking, speaking, become something worth such substantial recognition? Because of media-addicted adults like these, tainted relationships like these, and tech-savvy toddlers like these.
Hi, this is Bridger. Say hi, Bridger. Oh,
Okay. Right there.
good job.
Yeah, what the guy? What the monster?
Sure, you can do the Word World Monster episode.
Okay.
Go to your favorite part. You looking for the monkey part? There it is. There's the monkey part.
As evidenced in that video clip there, it's no secret that kids are picking up tech skills at increasingly young ages. After all, Bridger there was only 2 years old, and he certainly knew his way around the iPad. Although I will note that his verbal communication skills were certainly lacking, which is completely acceptable given that he's a toddler, but typically one would associate such advanced technological skills with being a little bit older. 14 years ago, when I was about Bridger's age, any toddler with the capability to operate technology with such ease was simply unheard of. Granted, in 2002, clunky Apple computers like this were considered advanced and cutting-edge technology. Well, certainly this has had an impact on not only the generations like Bridger's, but on all the generations altogether. So I'd like to discuss what makes these recent generations that are affected by technology. Who are they? Let's start from the beginning. Over the last several months, I've decided that the generations are best categorized into 6 different titles. So at the beginning are not the Neanderthals, the cavemen, but the oldies yet goodies, the grandparents and the great-grandparents of today. The GI generation was born between 1901 and 1924. They coined the phrase teenager, and according to a recent study by Trinity University, they were strict believers in uniformity and formality. Next came the silent generation from 1924 to 1945, the wealthiest and the noblest, who came right before the ever so independent baby boomers born between 1946 and 1964. Next came Generation X, and then followed by the ever relevant millennials between 1980 and 1994, who paved the way for the technological age, which really didn't come into play until Generation Z, who was born between the mid-90s to 2015. So we have all the generations that are currently living, but now all I can wonder is, what comes next? Fellow TEDx speaker Mark McCrindle took the initiative to answer this question in his TED Talk, discussing what comes after Z. He took the initiative to coin the rising generation, Generation Alpha. According to McCrindle, the Alphas will live well into the 22nd century, and by the early 20s, they'll watch the Earth double its population of 4.438 billion that existed around their parents' births in 1980. The Alphas will likely learn to share and create documents before possessing the intelligence to comprehend what's on them. And so they'll definitely be the savviest generation yet. But what effect will all the iPads and Kindles and droids and drones and computers and phones and everything in between really have on these kids? Picture this. The year is 2040. At this rate, Apple will have just introduced its iPhone 19s, and the Alphas are coming into their young adult stages, ready to dominate the business world with their effortless equity when it comes to technology. Or are they? Having been raised at the with the world at their fingertips, these social skills will surely suffer. After all, it's already 2016 and we're able to do most things with a mere click of a button or slide of a finger on our iPhones. In 2009, the American Academy of Pediatrics discovered that 22% of kids were on their phones at least 10 times a day, and half of teens were on their sites at least more than once. Now consider that in 2009, Instagram, an app that ranked third behind Facebook and Twitter on the charts, had yet to launch. Kick Messenger, Snapchat, the iPad, and even the front camera had yet to make their debuts as well, and the hoverboard was a mere Back to the Future-induced fantasy. With all of this new technology comes the possibility for mental disorders. In 2012, the Anxiety UK analyzed the relationship between anxiety and technology and made an interesting discovery. Before I jump into the study, a few statistics on mental disorders. As of right now, 18% of American adults suffer from some kind or another of an anxiety disorder. And among these is agoraphobia, which is defined by Google as an extreme or irrational fear of crowded spaces or enclosed public spaces. For the typical agoraphobic, this technology on the rise is certainly beneficial to their isolated lifestyles. Being sufficiently uncomfortable leaving their homes, they can access their friends and family and pop culture, music, and almost anything through their trusty social media. However, back to the study. The population of the mentally ill, while they certainly found this beneficial, apparently people who had no pre-existing medical conditions developed anxiety from their overt excessive use of technology. Which isn't too surprising, because it's no secret today, the high school stress level is rapidly increasing. I mean, with college prestige on the rise as well as high school sports, brimming agendas are no stranger to the typical high school student. Take me, for example. This past winter, Mondays, I have lacrosse, Tuesdays, fitness trainer, Wednesdays, hockey practice, Thursdays, fitness trainer again, Friday, more hockey practice, Saturday, routine allergy shots, Sunday, hockey practice, and it starts all over again. Scenarios like mine are all too common for the typical high school student, which can certainly create stress and significant amount of it. Throughout their many activities, high school students develop certain amount of stress levels and eventually procrastination. After all, after these activities, which require minimal time, if any, on my phone, I run home and the first thing I do is hop on my phone. Why? Because I need to connect. Like many others of my generation, I've developed this immense need to be connected since getting my first cell phone 3 years ago. So, I get home, I go through Instagram, send some Snapchat selfies to my friends, check my texts, and suddenly an hour has passed by and I have yet to start my homework. Scenarios like these are all too common for the typical high school student. Now, this isn't to say that every high school student with a packed agenda is a budding agoraphobic, but 20% of teens currently suffer some kind of anxiety, and it's no secret that a great part of this is due to technology. In light of all the technological advances, it would be natural to wonder how people manage to keep the communication lines alive. Well, while it would be natural to see an immense deterioration in the quality of the spoken word, I found that the most motivated, such as TED speakers, find a way to rise above the apps. Speakers who do TED Talks are pretty much the epitome of talented communicators, but what drives them? How are they able to surpass this technology and find a way to make it all work? In light of such technological advances, how are adults today able to rise above the apps and become such eloquent communicators in events like TED? Many may argue that the intensity of technology would lead to an extreme decline of the spoken word, but people like speakers and TED events have been the epitome of the spoken word and found a way to restore beauty to it. While the Apple keyboard covers many emojis from happiness to sadness to anger to whatever this is, nothing beats sharing a laugh or a conversation with a friend. So, whether you're an ex-clapper of the GI, an entrepreneurial latchkey kid, or a thriving member of the Generation Alpha, global intellects of all eras are united by the spoken word through TED. Thank you.
Thank you, Curran.